Hey YouTube, so I make these videos when it's therapeutic for me to make them, which sometimes that's sharing helpful tools that I use, sometimes it's just venting, sometimes it's when I'm feeling off, and it's just to kind of track what I find to be notable in my mental health journey that relates to DID. And today I woke up with something a difference. And so I'd like to share what happened today and how I'm feeling now. So I woke up and I had a lot of information on my mind about the inner world, about Alaya and the characters in the inner world, Michael, the angel, Alter, Melody, the 9-year-old little that was stuck in a cave previously, and Akasha and the dove. And I was talking about this with my husband, and I know that my husband in the mornings doesn't always want his mornings to be about that kind of stuff. And I was just feeling the need to talk about it. It was on my mind so strongly, and I started getting visions of what I was talking about. And I felt this really strong pull to go within, to journey. And my therapist recently kind of released me from my ban on journeying. She said, now that I understand these altars are more real and out there and what the disorder is, you know, that was the reason why she wanted me to wait on journeying, was to know if it's just in my head or if it's, you know, something that would come out. Do you need me? Okay. And so I've had a little more leeway with being able to meditate and visualize things and not be confused about if it's all my imagination or not. And so I ended up going into a journey and it's the first one that I've had in a really long while, and interesting things happened. So I always have this cliffside house, you know, with one bedroom and a woodworking room and an art room, which has musical instruments as well. And it's like a community house, like known to be a community house. And animals and different, sometimes people are in there when I visit, and it's always some symbolic lesson of sorts. Well, today I was led by Akasha to go directly north instead of west in this like continent that the inner world is. And I went north and we went to the biggest tree like you could ever imagine. It's the biggest I can imagine. I saw myself from a bird's eye view. We were super tiny at the very bottom of the trunk. And then Michael, the angel, appeared, and he looked like more woodlandy than usual, and, you know, wearing not armor like an archangel, but still yielding like a sword. And he said, I need to take you somewhere. And so we ended up going up through the tree branches like he was flying me, carrying me, and I ran into Ralph, this character that I don't know who he is, but he's appeared before in the woodworking shop. When he appeared before, he was making toy trains and painting them, and he said it was for the children that come to visit the house whenever they come, so they'll have toys to play with. And so they also remember and know about his land that he's from. And the land he's from is these islands north of the continent that has trains, and that's where like dragons come from. It's all mythical. And I didn't know what was there, and he was sitting on a branch cutting branches for wood and told me that it would grow back magically right away, so this is a safe tree to do that, and that the toys had a special essence because of it. And he said that it's time to go to visit somewhere, and it's going to be the place that he's from. And so I went to north of the tree. Michael flew north past the tree. We landed, and there was a train waiting right on a shoreline, exactly on the edge of the water. And we got on the front of the train, which had like a couch, and it was very regal, lots of gold tones, cream tones, a teapot of tea. It was very interesting, and it was the front part of the train, and we rode up this like interesting railroad that went across tall islands. It looked like a roller coaster almost, but when we came to this top island, there was this beautiful cream-colored cathedral-like castle that had stained glass. It had a big stained glass circle of the dove above the opening for, I'm assuming, my dove noble. I don't know, there's just a lot of dove symbolism. And he said, it's time that you remember where you're from, and I want you to go inside. And so there was 3 stairways, 1 going in and 2 wrapping around, and beautiful rose gardens, and it was really pretty. And I walked inside, and this long great hall, like you'd picture in a castle of a kingdom, this long great hall had organs and like wind instruments all across the hallways instead of walls, and stained glass, and there was like a throne at the end. And so I've always felt uncomfortable that for some reason my inner world likes to denote me when I go in there as Alaya as the queen of the land, because it feels like I'm saying I want to be worshipped, and I feel very uncomfortable with that. And I think that's why I've always had my house as just a very humble abode off of the sea. But I knew it was time to go sit there, and I knew that I had pictured like a crown of golden coral this time when journeying inward and looking in a mirror. That's what I saw. So that's what the throne looked like, was very like a rose gold coral, very intricate throne, and some like sofa-y things next to it. And Michael said, didn't say, but like telepathically said to take a seat there and to recall. And I looked at the place, and it was beautiful. It seemed sacred. There was my dove's name is Noble, flying around. The stained glass reminded me of a cathedral. There was an angel in there, and music wasn't playing. And he said, it's time for you to meet someone. And in walked a little 9-year-old, darker skinned, like Indian, dark long hair girl. And he said, this is Melody. And Melody again had been in, I'm giving my husband a kiss. Melody had been in caves, protected by Michael, because she had been found isolated in caves below my home and singing melodies. So her name's Melody. She sings melodies. And he brought her there to the castle, and he said, you know, I've helped her out, and this is her home too. This is your daughter, Princess Melody, who's 9 and a little of mine. And I felt a sense of love for her, and felt like she needed affection, like she hadn't returned home in so long. And I had her sit next to me, and I hugged her, and she said there was a mean man that made me feel like I was nothing, and I forgot where I came from, and I forgot everything. And she said I didn't remember I was a princess. And she began singing melodies, and all of the organs and all of the wind instruments and even this grand harp, which should be played by fingers, all of that lit up with this beautiful music. And it was so healing feeling to have her singing of these melodic tones go through the cathedral like that. And she felt like she understood herself, like this was a part of her, that she was a part of the castle. And Michael said, you know, I would like her to reside here now in her home, and I would like you to come here as your home once again. And he said, I'm going to bring Chrissy in, my 5-year-old, who I've never seen in the inner world. And in walks what looks like me as a 5-year-old, and she said, you know, she's a princess too. And they're not sisters though, which is interesting. So she's a princess too, and they can be friends, and so Melody could have a friend to play with. And I saw images of a banquet hall, like a kingdom, beautiful, you know. I won't ramble on because this video will be long enough, but banquet hall, a mystical library where, this man in robes, very skinny man in robes with long fingers, gave me this opal sphere. And when I saw this mystical library, there was a place for this opal sphere to be set in the center, and it lit up all this light in the library, and the books came to life, like their edging was lit up, and it was the biggest, grandest circular library you've ever seen. It was beautiful. And then I took Melody to her room, and it was like canopy bed, pinks and gold room, all the kind of toys and tea sets, and bay window, and just amazing. And I knew that she felt so at home and much, much more healed than living alone in a dark cave singing with the echoes of the cave. And I knew that she had a friend, Chrissy, to be there with her. And that was toward the end of the journey. This land is where dragons are hatched, but there on the top of the castle was a blue and purple dragon with golden eyes, and it could immediately transport me back to the edge of the veil of the inner and outer world, instead of me having to go in real time back on the train, etc. So it flew me back, and Michael said, you know, you don't have to go back, Alaya, you can stay here and be in this kingdom. And I said, as a queen, it just occurred to me, I said, no, I need to help in the other world to let Kristen know that we are one, and I have work to do there. And so I flew back on the dragon and came back out here. And since then, I have been slightly, you know, very low energy in the body, kind of not consciously here a lot. I'm talking a lot clearer than I thought this video would be. I am co-conscious Alaya, and she is very strong presence. I process a lot of mystical healing, so to speak, that occurred from having that journey and those things happen, and my altars having a better place to live. And I started to panic because I had real world things to go out and do today, and I had to cancel them. I had to say, I can't do it. I can't go to a new person's house and a client of a husband's and pick up stamp collection. It's just to get a stamps. Like, they're donating stamps, and they offered me some. It's not like a super important task. I like stamps, but I was so co-conscious of Leia, and the more I tried to go, the more she tried to say, stay. You need to stay, and I need to be with you today. And so today I'm really co-conscious of Leia, and I don't know what that's going to look like. We did a little bit of tarot. I think we're going to do some deeper meditation and some energy work. And yeah, I just think that journey was really interesting. I'm so happy that the ban on my journeys is lifted. I can see that it can have a dual effect, that on one hand, I am now stronger. Split in Alaya, I did question some of it, like, am I making this up? You know, am I just very, like, I should be a sci-fi novelist? You know, but now that I understand about the inner world, and I even watched a video today by Disassociated Chloe on the inner world. Now that I understand more about this being a part of DID, I know that it can symbolically really help heal and help alters communicate to each other and bring them together to have the inner world alive and going. And so I'm so happy that I just let myself do the journey. But I'm a little, like, I admit, a little flustered to know what to do with myself as Kristen, because I don't feel very fully consciously here. And I'm also not fully split, and so I'm just in this in-between phase of, like, co-fronting, and that's kind of interesting. So I just wanted to share. I look a mess today. I have no makeup on, and I'm obviously tired and kind of out of it, but I just wanted to share that journey and how I'm feeling now, co-conscious, co-fronting even, and that I don't know what my day will bring, but Alea's telling me to be very present and to follow her instincts. So that's what I'm gonna do. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you have a wonderful Sunday.